Good evening, folks. Earl Campbell here from Eastern Shore Undercover, coming in today with what I think will be a fairly quick and easy podcast. Shouldn't be very long. What are we up to? Number 8 now. Podcast number 8. So, thank you all for tuning in. And before we get started, my lovely wife tells me every time that we do one of these that I have to ask you guys to subscribe to the podcast in the beginning instead of the end. So I'm going to do it both places. I don't know if she's right or if I'm right or what's wrong. And I hope it doesn't annoy anybody. But if you would take just 2 seconds and hit that subscribe button down below. And if you like what you see at the end, then give it a like. That's all we're asking. Just a little subscribe button there. Anyways, tonight we're going to discuss some recent happenings, or I guess what I should say, rumors running around the shore over the past 24 hours, 48 hours, something like that, involving the next step of the encryption. So, over the past day or so, we have received word that from several sources that many of the fire departments are considering moving their channels over to an encrypted frequency. And for everyone to understand this, I figure we would go back a little bit and talk about what we know, how this all came about. So first off, if we go back, I guess about a year, Worcester County Sheriff Matt Crisafulli announced that he would be putting the sheriff's office on an encrypted frequency. I'm guessing that was about a year ago, October, I think it was. And then they moved forward with it in March of 2024. Around that same time, Wicomico County Sheriff Mike Lewis announced that he would also be joining Crisafulli, and he would be encrypted the Wicomico County law enforcement frequencies. And he gave various reasons. Regardless, I'm not going to beat on a dead horse. You know that one. Bottom line, they went encrypted. When they did, we were told that it wouldn't affect any fire or EMS, would only going to affect the law enforcement in Wicomico and Worcester County. At the time, I had some concern because I knew this was about more than, an officer safety issue. It was more than, a privacy issue. This was mainly about shutting down Eastern Shore Undercover and what we do for the community over any law enforcement issue that they had. But regardless, I was privy to a conversation that happened where there was talk about the 2026 election. And the comment was made along the lines that as long as Earl Campbell has Eastern Shore Undercover, and as long as he's up and running, local elections will be swayed, which is just the most ridiculous thing ever. But regardless. Therefore, since then, there's been this big old bullseye on my back here, people trying to shut me down. So about a month ago, we heard, or actually we saw it posted, and he put it in an email where, Councilman Shane Baker made a statement that he believes fire and EMS should also be encrypted. And now we're hearing that this may actually come true, and it appears old Bake will get his wish. So let me start out by saying I'm not sure what's rumor and what's fact. And before anyone asks me, I'm not sure which departments are working on switching over totally, or which departments are for it or against it. So please don't ask me that in the comments or anything like that. I've heard from several individuals who are against it, and I've heard from several individuals who are for it. And they were respectful in the way they presented it. And we disagreed, and that's fine. But apparently there was a meeting where it was discussed, and since I've heard it from multiple people, and these are people that I respect, and I firmly believe, we have to take it as it's true. Do I agree with it? Of course not. But as we saw with law enforcement, these leaders, they're going to do what they want to do, and there's nothing we can do about it. They're going to shut off the outside world, and unfortunately, we just have to accept it. There really isn't a spot where we can say, well, we don't want that as citizens and as taxpayers, and put up a fight and do petitions, and they just aren't going to listen, and we would be wasting our time and our breath. And as you all see with my fight with law enforcement, it's just not worth it. It is what it is, and we can't change it. So no sense of fighting. So a lot of people have asked, well, how can you do this with the volunteers? And I don't know. I don't really know how that's all going to play out. But I can tell you 100% it's going to make all of our lives, all of our families less safe. There is absolutely no question about that. Perfect example of the encryption working against the citizens was just a couple nights ago. The crash here in Delmar, where the suspect was an escaped prisoner or someone who walked off the job site, a work release program. That was literally less than, probably a mile and a half from my house. And I had no idea the guy was even in the area. Didn't know anything about it. Nothing. That night, we were getting crushed with messages to the point that I shut the computer down and went to bed. I just couldn't answer them all. Everybody was worried about what was happening, if they were safe, where the guy was. There were a lot of concerned people in the area. So that's just another example. As a matter of fact, there have been 2 prisoners that have escaped from Delaware and came, well, of course, this guy was still in Delaware, but the other guy was captured in Maryland down by Lowe's. But neither one of them were put out in the public. There's people that escaped from jail. We don't even know anything about it. And that's scary. That's very, very scary. So I'm not sure how the encryption stuff is good for anyone, just my opinion. You guys all have heard me preach about it. So the big question that everybody keeps asking, what does this mean for Eastern Shore Undercover? If they've taken away the law enforcement, now they're going to take away the fire and EMS. What does that mean? Is it, what's going to happen with Eastern Shore Undercover? And for me, for my wife, for Eastern Shore Undercover, business as usual. I can't worry and I can't stress ourselves out over things that we have no control over. We simply don't have any control over that. And while it's a very big, following here on Eastern Shore Undercover, and the community certainly absolutely supports us and our goals and keeping the community informed. And the fact is, our voice just doesn't matter in this situation. I hate to say it, but that is just the truth. It's, we're just a small piece of the puzzle, and we're a pawn in the game of chess. We can complain, we can express our displeasure over what they're doing, but it just doesn't matter, And I hate to say that, and I hate to, make it look like our voice doesn't count as citizens, but it's just the reality of it. Fire departments feel that it's best for them to shut the outside world out, along with what we've seen in law enforcement agencies, that they've already done it. And that's what they're going to do. We've tried fighting this with the local sheriffs, and, we lost. It's okay to take it on the chin and say you lost. We tried making the local leaders understand the importance of, something like this in our community. And with the exception of, our county executive, Julie Giordano, and county councilwoman James Wynn on the council, who had some reasonable responses where it comes to Broadcastify. Everyone else in leadership positions in Wicomico County is on board with shutting us down and closing out our ability to hear what is happening in our communities. So we can either sulk on it and we can complain about it, or we can move on and focus on the next chapter. I've said it many, many times, and I will say it again. I'm a pretty resourceful guy. Will this shut me down? Will this be the final straw to Eastern Shore Undercover? Not a chance. I keep saying this over and over, and people just don't want to believe me. But we're going to survive. We will be just fine. I always tell my kids and I tell everybody, you can't fail if you don't quit. And I'm not a quitter. Are we going to have the same info that we had in the past? Of course not. Are we going to have the info posted as quick as we had it in the past? Not a chance. But we will get the information and we will get it out there to, our community as quickly as we can and as safely as we can and the best that we can. We're going to have to revamp how we do things, and we will adjust at how we function on a day-to-day basis. But that's business. I mean, every single business owner that's out there, they deal with issues. It may not be the encryption issue or the issues that we have, but all businesses have issues. Successful businesses are able to overcome those issues. And that's what I plan on doing. Now, some people always ask, is there anything we can do to help? And there are. I mean, there's ways that citizens can help us with information. And one of those is if you're in an area and you see an incident that happens, snap a picture. Videos really don't help us. I know a lot of people like to send us videos, but the videos are real tough on Facebook because of their copyright infringement, and they've got a lot of different policies that they put in place where videos make it really difficult for us. But photos, snap a photo. I'll put it up here. Include your location in your message so I know where it's coming from. If you know what happened, by all means, include it. But don't guess. While we want to keep the community informed and we want to post, what's happening, what we don't want to do is post rumors and post what we think happened. It's okay to post something, and say law enforcement or firefighters are at this location. And if we find out what happened, we'll let you know. I'd rather post it. How do I say this? I'd rather post it incomplete than to post it incorrect. Second, I know without a doubt, we will still get information from law enforcement officers and firefighters who don't agree with the encryption and who support Eastern Shore Undercover. I'm very proud of the network that we've built over the past 4.5 years. On a daily basis, I have to charge this thing. As you can see, it's charging right now. Charge my phone multiple times a day because we get text messages from multiple law enforcement officers, from firefighters, from EMS crews, dispatchers. List goes on and on. These people care about you. They care about our community. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in a position that they're in. And they feel like we do that the community deserves to be informed. A informed community is a powerful community. It's just a few of those figureheads and the powers to be that make this very difficult and complicated. And that's very unfortunate. But regardless, I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible for people to contact me on a secure and safe secure and safe means. I'm working on a few things now that hopefully more first responders will have a safe and an easy way to get in touch with us and to get us the information to keep you guys informed. Last thing, if you work at a government agency or you're somewhere that sends out press releases, please add us to your list. If I can get that information, I can get it out to the community fairly quickly. This really isn't going to help the live breaking news stuff, but for information in general, it will certainly help our website and, be able to get information, keep us relevant for the next 2 years. So, and that's really, I think that's all I got. It's, like I said, it's business as usual. We aren't going anywhere. It's going to keep doing what we do. And eventually these yahoos around here, they're going to stop trying to shut us down. So it's very unfortunate. Again, I feel like a broken record. It sucks that, a couple leaders in the area are more worried about an election than they are about getting information out to the community. But it is what it is. Last thing, once again, as I said before, when I first started, take 2 seconds and hit that subscribe button down there. And if you like what you see, what you heard here, give me a like on that video. Thank you all for watching episode 9 of the podcast, and I hope you all have a great evening. By the way, we're shutting down early tonight. I got Big Brother coming on at 8 or 9 o'clock tonight, so Miss Eastern Shore Undercover. She makes me watch it. I blame it on her.